The Arctic, a realm of ice and snow, is home to a magnificent creature, the polar bear. These apex predators are perfectly adapted to survive in this harsh environment. Polar bears are a symbol of the Arctic's beauty and its fragility. Their fate is intertwined with the health of our planet. Polar bears are found throughout the Arctic region. They inhabit areas with sea ice, which they need for hunting seals. Their scientific name means maritime bear, reflecting their dependence on the sea. These bears are not only skilled hunters, but also important indicators of the Arctic ecosystem's health. Polar bear populations are spread across several countries, including Canada, Russia, Greenland, Norway, and the United States, Alaska. These countries work together to manage and conserve this iconic species. Understanding polar bear biology and behavior is crucial for effective conservation efforts. The Arctic is undergoing rapid changes due to climate change. These changes are having a profound impact on polar bears and their habitat. By understanding the challenges facing polar bears, we can better protect them for generations to come. Polar bears are the world's largest land predator. They are perfectly adapted to survive in one of the harshest environments on Earth. Their thick fur and blubber layer provide insulation against the extreme cold. A polar bear's fur is not actually white, but translucent. The hairs are hollow, which helps trap heat. Their large paws, equipped with rough pads and non-retractable claws, provide excellent traction on ice and snow. Polar bears are also powerful swimmers. Their webbed paws help propel them through the water. They can hold their breath for an impressive amount of time. A polar bear's sense of smell is highly developed. They can detect seals, their primary prey, from miles away. Their hearing and eyesight are also well suited for hunting in the Arctic. These adaptations make polar bears formidable predators. Despite their size and strength, polar bears are vulnerable to environmental changes. Their specialized adaptations, while beneficial in the Arctic, make it difficult for them to adapt to other environments. This vulnerability highlights the importance of protecting their habitat. Polar bears are opportunistic hunters, primarily feeding on ringed seals. They use a variety of techniques to catch their prey. One common method is called still hunting. The bear waits patiently near a seal's breathing hole in the ice. When a seal surfaces to breathe, the bear strikes with lightning speed. Polar bears are also known to stalk seals resting on the ice. They use their keen sense of smell to locate their prey. Their white fur provides excellent camouflage against the snow. Once a seal is caught, the polar bear will consume the blubber first. Blubber is a rich source of energy essential for survival in the Arctic. Polar bears have a slow metabolism, allowing them to survive long periods without food. While seals are their primary food source, polar bears are opportunistic feeders. They will scavenge carcasses, eat birds' eggs, and even graze on vegetation when necessary. Their diet reflects the availability of food in their environment. Polar bears are generally solitary animals, except during the breeding season. They roam vast distances in search of food and mates. Adult males have large home ranges, often overlapping with the ranges of several females. During the breeding season, males and females come together to mate. After a successful mating, the female will give birth to 1 to 3 cubs in a snow den. Cubs stay with their mothers for about 2 years, learning essential survival skills. Polar bear mothers are fiercely protective of their cubs. They teach their young how to hunt, swim, and avoid danger. The bond between a mother and her cubs is crucial for their survival in the Arctic. While polar bears are solitary creatures, they've been known to interact with each other. Playful interactions between cubs have been observed. Adult males may engage in sparring matches, establishing dominance. Section 5. The cycle of life, reproduction, and cub rearing. Polar bear reproduction is closely tied to the availability of sea ice. Females need sufficient body fat to reproduce successfully. They rely on seals, which are dependent on sea ice for their sustenance. The timing of mating and denning is crucial for cub survival. Female polar bears typically give birth in snow dens dug into snowdrifts. These dens provide insulation and protection from the elements. Cubs are born blind and helpless, relying entirely on their mothers for warmth and nourishment. Cubs grow rapidly on their mother's rich milk. As they grow stronger, they venture outside the den with their mother. They learn to hunt and navigate the icy terrain. The first 2 years of a cub's life are critical for learning essential survival skills. Survival rates for polar bear cubs can be low, especially in years with poor ice conditions. Climate change, which is reducing the availability of sea ice, poses a significant threat to polar bear reproduction and cub survival. Section 6. The unseen threat: climate change and habitat loss. Climate change is the biggest threat to polar bear survival. As global temperatures rise, Arctic sea ice is melting at an alarming rate. Sea ice is crucial for polar bears as it provides a platform for hunting seals. The loss of sea ice forces polar bears to spend more time on land. This can lead to increased competition for resources, such as carcasses and vegetation. It also brings them into closer contact with humans, potentially leading to conflicts. Polar bears are adapted to survive long periods without food. However, as the ice-free season lengthens, their fasting periods are becoming increasingly extended. This can lead to starvation, especially in females and cubs. The impacts of climate change on polar bears are already being observed. Some populations are declining while others are showing signs of stress. The future of polar bears is inextricably linked to the fate of Arctic sea ice. Section 7. A toxic legacy: pollution in the Arctic. Pollution is another significant threat to polar bears. Persistent organic pollutants, or POPs, such as PCBs and DDT, accumulate in the Arctic food web. These pollutants can have detrimental effects on polar bear health and reproduction. POPs are transported to the Arctic from lower latitudes through atmospheric and oceanic currents. They accumulate in the fatty tissues of animals such as seals, which are preyed upon by polar bears. This process is known as biomagnification. Exposure to POPs can suppress the immune system of polar bears, making them more susceptible to diseases. It can also disrupt hormone levels, affecting reproduction and cub development. Pollution adds another layer of stress to an already vulnerable species. Efforts to reduce POPs have been underway for several decades. However, these pollutants persist in the environment for a long time. Continued monitoring and international cooperation are essential to mitigate the impacts of pollution on polar bears. Section 8. On thin ice: the future of polar bears. The future of polar bears is uncertain. Climate change poses an existential threat to their survival. The continued loss of sea ice will have cascading effects on their ability to hunt, reproduce, and thrive. Conservation efforts are crucial for protecting polar bears. Reducing greenhouse gas emissions is paramount to mitigating the impacts of climate change. International cooperation is essential to address this global issue. Protecting and managing polar bear habitat is also critical. This includes establishing protected areas, reducing human-wildlife conflicts, and minimizing the impacts of industrial activities in the Arctic. Public awareness and education play a vital role in polar bear conservation. By understanding the plight of these iconic creatures, we can inspire action to protect them and their fragile habitat. Section 9. A shared responsibility: conservation efforts. Conserving polar bears requires a multifaceted approach involving international cooperation, scientific research, and public engagement. Several organizations are dedicated to protecting these magnificent creatures. The International Polar Bear Agreement, or IPB, is an agreement between the 5 polar bear range states: Canada, Russia, Greenland, Norway, and the United States. It provides a framework for the conservation and management of polar bears. Scientific research is essential for understanding polar bear ecology, behavior, and the threats they face. Researchers use a variety of techniques, including satellite tracking, genetic analysis, and health assessments to monitor polar bear populations. Public education and outreach are crucial for raising awareness about polar bears and the importance of conservation. Zoos, aquariums, and conservation organizations play a vital role in educating the public and inspiring action. Section 10. Our frozen legacy: a call to action. The fate of polar bears rests in our hands. Their future is intertwined with our own. By addressing climate change, reducing pollution, and supporting conservation efforts, we can help ensure their survival. Each of us can make a difference. Reducing our carbon footprint, supporting sustainable practices, and advocating for environmental policies are all steps in the right direction. Our collective actions will determine the legacy we leave for future generations. The Arctic is a reminder of the interconnectedness of our planet. What happens in the Arctic affects us all. By protecting polar bears, we are not only safeguarding a species, but also preserving a vital part of our planet's ecosystem. Let us act now with urgency and determination to ensure that polar bears continue to roam the Arctic ice for generations to come. Their survival is a testament to our commitment to protecting the natural world.